and the southern tip of Rampside from Peel Island in the middle of the channel, and another half-mile from the southern tip of Peel to the north curved tip of Walney. The deep-water channel ran to the right of Peel Island, an utterly flat and grassy bit of land, capped by the ruins of Faldry Castle. That channel was narrow, only about 200 yards wide. Spread now along that gap were dozens of small craft, pleasure boats, fishing boats, even a few yachts. They'd been gathering all morning, lining up across the channel entrance. Closer at hand, Zodiac rafts hopped and bumped ahead of churning white wakes as they moved to intercept the slow-moving mountain of the transport. "Jesus fucking H. Christ," Jack Ralston said. Folding his arms, he leaned against the port-side railing forward, watching the show. Timmy Smithers slung his long, SAS slang for his SA-80 rifle, over his shoulder and joined him from farther aft along the forecastle railing. "Quite a party, huh?" Ralston spat over the railing and into the sea. "Fucking idiots," he said. "Shit, mate," Smithers replied with a grin. He was former Australian SAS, and his words oozed outback affability. "Things just wouldn't be the same if we didn't have a little embarkation party, right? Lets us know they care." Straightening, Ralston raised his binoculars to his eyes, massive Zeiss 15x45s that snapped even the most distant of the boats into crisp, close-up detail. He'd purchased them on eBay, rather than relying on his service-issue set. Several of the larger small craft out there sported banners draped festively from their sides. "Stop Nuke Shipments," a particularly garish red and green sign read, above a crude drawing of a human skull. "No Mocks," read another. "Pretty wild, ain't it, mate?" Smithers said. "Plying up to sea and bloody in, I suppose." "Just so they move the hell out of our way," Ralston replied after a moment. He focused on a pair of Zodiacs that appeared to be closing with the sandpiper off her bow. Each carried two men wearing wetsuits, bent low to keep their craft stable as they skipped off the waves. "Looks like they're sicking the dogs on 'em as we speak," Smithers said, pointing. To starboard, the sandpiper's escort was leaping ahead, lean and white, a shark to the piper's lumbering whale. She was the Ishikari of the Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force, the numerals 226 prominent on her knife-edged prow. "Some of them are already inside the exclusion zone," Ralston said. "Serves them bloody right if the issue runs them down." "Yeah, but then if she does, you'll have all those lawsuits and demonstration and newspaper editorials," Smithers replied. "So tiresome." Ralston lowered the binoculars and looked at the other man. Like Ralston, Smithers wore civilian clothing, though the tactical vest, boots, and floppy-brimmed hat were all military issue. As with Ralston, a small radiation meter hung from his tactical vest. In fact, both men were civilians, but until 4 years ago, Ralston had been in the British SAS. Now he was a contract employee for Pacific Nuclear Transport Limited, more usually called simply PNTL. He and the 29 other security personnel on board the Sandpiper had been referred to more than once, and disparagingly, as rent-a-cops. That, he thought, might be true, but they were very dangerous rent-a-cops, the very, very best that money could buy. PNTL had a great deal riding on these radioactive cargoes and could not afford to hire anyone who was less than the absolute best. "There they go!" Smithers shouted, and he gave a whoop. "Whew! Run, you green little bastards!" The Ishikari was swinging to port, now putting herself between the demonstrators and the slow-moving sandpiper, using her sheer tonnage to clear a path through the line of demonstrators, scattering them. Overhead, a Royal Navy helicopter, a Sea King off the RNS Campbelltown, roared south with a clattering thunder of rotor noise. Under threat from sea and air, the demonstrators appeared to be losing their nerve. "You'd think," Ralston said with just a shadow of a smile, "that they'd be happy to see our backs. We're hauling the radioactive crap out of their backyards, after all." "Oh, the coppers are more worried about saving the bloody whales, ain't that right? Don't matter if a city..."